All right, so let's take a look at some of the questions you asked as number 10 on the notes quiz you took recently. Let's go through and see some of the things you wanted to review and reteach. All right, lots of you asked about the amendments that you needed to be familiar with. Some of these you already knew. 15, 19, 26, you already knew those. So we just need to add a few others. In addition to 15, 19, and 26, you need to be familiar with the 23rd Amendment. The 23rd Amendment allows residents of Washington, D.C. to vote in presidential elections. If it helps, I always remember it with 23 DC. They sound similar, and somehow that helps me remember 23 DC. Be careful though, 23rd Amendment lets them vote in presidential elections. DC residents have no congressmen or women, therefore they cannot vote in congressional elections. The other new amendment in this chapter is the 24th Amendment, allowing no poll taxes. If you can come up with a clever way to remember that, let us know on Monday. Many of you asked about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. There was a lot of legislation between 1957 and 1965, all trying to close the loopholes of literacy tests and poll taxes and Jim Crow laws, and finally they got everything together in the Voting Rights Act of 1965. African Americans could vote in all elections anywhere in the country without worrying about literacy tests. The Voting Rights Act of 1967 also let the federal government oversee elections, which included sending voting examiners or poll watchers to make sure that those who are eligible to vote, that want to vote, have the opportunity to vote. I'm not saying that the other stuff isn't important, but all the different legislation that happened during that time period and that we looked at in the worksheets, this is the one you need to be familiar with. Lots of you asked about primaries. Let me just tell you, direct primary is not on the test because there's too close similarity between that and open and closed that there was a lot of confusion, so just don't worry about it. Open primaries, that's what Tennessee has. Any qualified voter can take part. You walk in and you ask for a Republican ballot or a Democratic ballot, but you have a choice. In a closed primary, you have to register as a Democrat or a Republican, and therefore you can only get that party's ballot when you show up at the poll. Runoff primaries are primaries between the top two vote getters. Not every state requires this. Some states do. If the top two vote getters did not receive a majority, they'll have another special election to have a runoff between those two. Lots of states won't do this because of the extra cost. Blanket primaries says voters get a long ballot of all candidates of both parties. It is a long ballot, just like a blanket is typically pretty long. And it's got everybody, the Democrats, the Republicans, and any third-party candidates that are on that primary. It's everybody together. Those are the four that you need to worry about. No, don't worry about them. Just know them. All right, political action committees. These are special interest groups that give money to candidates and parties whose interests align with theirs. If the Republican Party says they want to defend and preserve the Second Amendment, what is the Second Amendment, by the way? Yep, it's the right to bear arms. Anyway, if the Republicans say that they want to protect and defend the Second Amendment, the NRA, the National Rifle Association, a special interest group, is going to give money to that candidate and to that party. Okay? PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals. Greenpeace has to do with environmentalism. If you have a candidate or a party who has those interests and boasts on their platform that they want to do certain things, there are special interest groups out there that are going to send their support by way of money. And we said that oftentimes there are so many special interest groups that can send a candidate money that candidates become less and less dependent on their party for money. They still need their party's nomination. Remember, parties are the only groups that can nominate, but they can get money donated to them from other places. Voting qualifications. There are 5 stipulations in the Constitution about what states can't require. Let's start though with what states can require. States can require that you're at least 18 years of age, that you're a resident of the state, and that you're a citizen of the United States. Remember, the qualifications in the Constitution say you can't tell somebody they can't vote because of their color, or their age, or their race, and you cannot charge poll taxes. The other that the Constitution stipulates is that if you qualify for one election, you qualify for all elections. This seemed to throw some of you for a loop on the quiz today. In the notes, here are the 4 types of minor parties. Should look just like your notes, in fact. Ideological, these are based on a certain set of beliefs. The Communist Party, the Socialist Party, Libertarian Party, those people are based on joined together based on a set of beliefs. I think libertarians are the ones we're most familiar with. Those are the ones that we hear about in today's politics. Let's see, we've got single issue parties. They focus on one single piece of public policy matter. Abortion, Irish Catholic immigration. Okay, think about it. They focus on a single issue. They're called single issue party. Economic protest. They are protesting the economy as it is. They are saying we are disgusted with what is going on. We don't like what the major parties have done, but they don't typically have their own set of ideas on how to fix what's going on. Splinter parties are those that have split away from a major party. The example we used in class was the Bull Moose Party. The Bull Moose Party was formed around Teddy Roosevelt, a very strong personality, and it was formed after he got upset with the Republicans and split away. Both the Democrats and the Republicans have different setups, different rules, different different ways of doing what they do. But they've got a couple things that they've got in common. And here they are: the National Convention, the National Committee, and the National Chairperson. The convention, some of us watched before school started. Held every 4 years. The delegates represent their state's wishes as made known by their primaries. Platform is adopted, a candidate is nominated. This is a big, big deal. It's a huge, big deal. And in order to pull off that national convention every 4 years, you need a national committee to raise money. Got to get the convention going. Got to get the party's message across. They also need a national chairperson, sort of move everything along, get everything going. It says they work at the party's headquarters with a small staff to run the party's campaign efforts. These are all very important pieces to the Democrats and the Republicans. There's a lot of pressure put on the chairperson and the committee, not just about the campaign, but that national convention is a way to highlight, here's what our party is about. And hopefully they're looking to grab some of you young folks that haven't registered to vote before. They're trying to entice you to be part of their party. All right, so we've got Kahoot on Monday. Be ready. Test on Tuesday. Get that review sheet done. Once we get past that, we'll have a little bit of time to regroup and focus on the 9 weeks test that is on Thursday, October 6th. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, I'll see you in class on Monday.